Where exactly or when exactly does this take place in the DC universe?
I think I'm coming straight from Justice League.
Like, are we talking day after, week after?
Yeah, because in Zach's cut, we had it where I was with Volko and Mara, and I say that I have to go home, and they say there's this force coming that I need to help. And I'm like, I'm going home to see my dad, and so I get in the back of a pickup truck and pound a bottle of something, and off he goes, the Wanderer. You know what I mean? So that was kind of like the end of Justice League where I was going, and then you cut to me coming home and run into a submarine and bango.
Yeah.
And then go see Pops, and I think he's just going to get rooted again. I think he's been gone for so long. It's just him trying to come back to his roots.
Back to his roots. We're not going to start calling it Zach's cut, are we? What's happening, film friends? Dave the Film Junkie here. Hey, we can call it Zach's cut, but we've been calling it the Snyder cut for so long. That's all. It was just a little joke. Anyways, what's happening, guys? Yeah, that little interview right there. Look at that. It was only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. I knew once these press junkets started for Aquaman that Momoa, of all people, because we know he's a little outlandish. He's got a mouth on him. Was going to let some things slip and probably be asked about the Snyder cut. I remember saying that. I was like, ugh. Just ask him, see what he says. And, this is close enough. I mean, it wasn't exactly asked about Snyder Cut, but he brought it up in this interview with Chris Von Vliet from WSVN TV, and he mentions that Arthur's story starts off like right after the end, the ending of Arthur's story in Justice League. And I'm not talking about that montage where he's swimming with the fishies, though. No, we're talking about this right here that we all kind of assumed maybe was the start of his story or the middle of his story or something like that. Because, I don't know, it just kind of seemed like it made sense. But no, turns out he was headed to see his pops. And the loner that he started off as in Justice League, still there. And I would totally have a drink or 22 with him. So naturally, his comments made the fandom, really excited, which is cool. That's fine. I saw many tweets that talked about how Snyder's cut is canon, and then of course I saw a lot of tweets about, they're going to release it, obviously, right? And I'm still not hearing that on my end. I still haven't heard anything. But guys, I'm over here just like going, this just means that Warner Brothers did not dick with James Wan's story. Wan's story was written to coincide with what was happening in Justice League, and we're talking about these deleted scenes right here. Even though Warner Brothers got rid of those scenes, got rid of that ending and just showed the montage, they didn't touch how his story begins over here with Aquaman, that's what I thought about immediately, and I was like, this is cool. This should be reassuring. This should really rest those debates, on whether or not Warner Brothers was really dicking with the story of Aquaman. And I mean, I know there's a small group out there that think that. There's a really small group, and it's whatever. If you want to think that this movie was, totally just changing from what was happening with Snyder, I just, with these comments, I'm not really thinking it because, if that was happening once like Snyder was ousted, they probably would have wanted to change like everything. But hey, guess what? They didn't dick with it. This is Wan's story with Snyder's base. Snyder was the base of all these characters. The absolute base. He opened the doors for other filmmakers to do what they wanted with the character that they chose. We've heard time and time again, and with Momoa's comments right here, it pretty much confirms that. And it should ease us that, Warner Brothers didn't just kick down that edit bay door, snip, 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 and had those scissors, and they were going to just cut off his movie. What do you think I was going to say? So does this mean that Warner Brothers is considering going back to Snyder's story? No, because, Arthur's story in Aquaman is very much an origin story. They're going to have a lot of flashbacks and everything that weren't in Justice League. But the fact that they aren't changing the starting point shows that they're not retconning Snyder's base. And we already knew that after watching the trailer to Shazam. I mean, my God. Snyder and Wan are, two very different filmmakers. They are, and they collabed together at the start, but then Wan took the wheel, which is what Snyder wanted. And I'm just excited that his vision And that his vision, we're gonna see his vision, and Warner Bros. Is finally allowing these guys to make their goddamn movies, which I think people are always just gonna be cynical about. Which I get it, but at the same time, it's like, hey, look at this, it's right there. But of course, we gotta stick it to the bloggers and the critics, the 6 people who keep debunking the Snyder Cut. Even though some of them, I'll give. To be fair, I will say that they never said it fully didn't exist. They just think an incomplete assembly cut is the only thing that exists. And then you got the other side that thinks like the Snyder Cut is just ready to ship out, ready to go. Once they release it, it's going to be in there in its full form. And I've said it time and time again. They're both wrong. I got some heat recently that Warner Brothers doesn't owe us anything, but they do owe Snyder, which was kind of left out with a lot of the arguments. But I just feel that they owe Snyder, which could then lead for them releasing his movie for us to see, if they owe him that. But I just think they just owe him a lot for what they put him through. But that led to the debate about how studios they mislead with their trailers and everything. And then, of course, with the Justice League trailer, we know that a lot of things were cut from what they was shown. And even though we shouldn't give that excuse, and a lot of people said that there's no excuse just because other studios do it, doesn't mean that we should excuse Warner Brothers. Yeah, true that. And just because, this is yet another notch on the belt of it does exist, do we really have to just, stick it to the non-believers all the time? Shit! Dave, you're trying to control people again. You gotta stop doing that. I always love that argument. I get that argument with people that I'm policing or whatever, and I always say, do whatever the fuck you want, okay? Do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, I just hate that the fandom gets painted with a broad brush because of how some lash out on people and, talking to people and stuff like that. I see it on my timeline a lot. And, it's just, it's not, the reason why I say that is because we all get lumped in. We all do. We all get lumped in together, and I get it. I get why everybody's pissed and, why people tend to lash out. I get it. I used to lash out too, and I just kind of went, all right, maybe that's not the right approach here. And, it sucks that we all get lumped together, and a lot of people say that that's shitty. We shouldn't get lumped with the toxic fans, but we shouldn't, if we're going to take that logic, we shouldn't lump in all the bloggers together because, they're not all toxic either. And when it comes to these bloggers and why they keep on saying it doesn't exist, I made a video about it, I mean, sadly, the non-believers are not going to believe it exists until it actually is released. And I'm just over here saying like, hey, let's try a different approach, but you don't have to listen to me. You really don't. I'm just a guy with a camera and a microphone. What the fuck do I know? I'm just giving some advice out there, and no one's forcing you to listen to me. You're a free-thinking adult, and most of you are, you take that, you're cool with what I have to say, that's totally fine. There's just some out there that act like goddamn entitled children, and I feel sorry for them and their families. Anyways, guys, so there's my 2 cents on all that. Let me know your thoughts about it down below. What do you think about all this? Hit that like, thumbs up button if you'd be so kind. Subscribe to my channel. Visit filmjunkie.com for all my stuff. Follow me on the social media stuff right there. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And then, visit the closet for shirts and stickers. All right, guys?